Hey guys, Dan here. Today we're going to talk about the new movie Antebellum. I've been sort of slacking on doing my multi-movie episodes. You know, for a while there I was doing like 3 or 4 new movies a week, and then all these kind of heavy hitters started coming all at once. So we had, Bill and Ted's deserved their own review. Mulan deserved its own review. And I think Antebellum kind of does too. So I still have 3 movies in the chamber that I'm going to review coming up, including the Seth Rogen movie An American Pickle that is on HBO Max. And I have one more to watch to make it a complete 4-movie review. But maybe that will be this week. I don't know. But I wanted to kind of give Antebellum its own review because obviously this was a very, very talked about movie. People were very excited about it. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. The April date theaters were closed for. They moved it a few months to August or something, and then that didn't work out. So they decided to just drop it on demand yesterday. So there's a couple of movies opening in theaters, Tenet, The New Mutants, that you can go check out those in theaters. But to be honest, the box office receipts are not really dictating that people are that interested in going to see movies right now in a theater. So I think it makes sense for them to put Antebellum up on demand. There's, when the pandemic first happened, there was a lot of movies coming on demand, every couple of weeks. But now it's more like every week or 2 there's a big one. So, I think Antebellum will find a nice sweet spot there. However, the reviews thus far are not very kind. It's at a 29% currently right now on Rotten Tomatoes. So let's find out if I agree with that sentiment or not. Now, first of all, I was very excited to see this movie, but they did one of the classic Hollywood marketing fake-outs where they acted like Jordan Peele had something to do with this movie. Because the trailer and the poster both say from the producer of Get Out and Us. Now, of course, Jordan Peele is the director of those movies, but who they're talking about is Sean McKittrick, that famous name. Yes, he produced Get Out and he produced Us. He also produced BlacKkKlansman, by the way. But they didn't put that on the poster because Jordan Peele had nothing to do with that, and they want you to think this is a Jordan Peele movie. It's classic. Back when Bridesmaids was huge, anything Judd Apatow had even an interest in, they would say, from the producer of Bridesmaids, okay, well, that's, Judd Apatow directed Bridesmaids, so if it doesn't say from the director of Bridesmaids, it ain't Judd Apatow's movie. So, they always do that, and I tend to not watch trailers because I think they give away too much, and I'm glad I didn't. I did see one for this a while ago. I forget what movie it was for, but it was in a theater, so it was certainly pre-pandemic. I can't really remember what movie it was, but either way, it might have been The Grudge. I forget, but anyway, irrelevant. But I did see one trailer for this movie 9 months ago or whatever it was, and it looked really interesting. And I love Janelle Monáe. I am a fan of her music, but I am an even bigger fan of Hidden Figures, one of my favorite movies. It was in my top 25 of the past decade. Love that movie, and she's a very fun part of that one. And, she's been in a couple of movies. That same year she did Moonlight. I think that was the same year as Hidden Figures. So, she's definitely, got her music career, but she's getting her acting chops on as well, and she's very good at the acting. And she's good here as well, but we'll get into some of the details of that. So this is listed as a psychological horror thriller. And unfortunately, see, I stay away from trailers because they give away too much. But I actually went to the Wikipedia page of this movie about 20 minutes in because I wanted to look up someone to see, because it seemed like I recognized him. Eric Lang is his name, and I thought I recognized him. I do, because he's been in a lot of things. He actually started kind of as a Disney guy. He got his first kind of big breaks on Victorious and Sam and Cat, the follow-up show. But since then, he's done Once Upon a Time. He's done the TV show Fringe. He's done Grey's Anatomy episodes. He's all over the place. And I know him best recently as Detective Parker in the miniseries Unbelievable, which was fantastic. Gave it an A. One of my favorites of 2019. So I did know this guy, but unfortunately, when I pulled up the Wikipedia page, the plot synopsis that they give is spoilery. So I sort of 20 minutes into the movie, I was like, okay, like they didn't say exactly what was going on, but it said enough that I was like, well, twist is now ruined for me. So I don't do that on my channel. If you're new to Dan Reviews It, I don't do spoilers when I do new movie reviews. I never have. I don't like it. I don't like spoilers. So it's a little hard to talk about this movie without really giving spoilers, but I think it's safe to say Janelle Monáe plays two roles here. It's really the same character, but two different roles, and that might not make sense, and that's okay, because I don't want to give spoilers. But it essentially takes place in an antebellum South plantation, which I didn't really know what the word antebellum meant, to be completely honest, until all this hubbub came up recently with Black Lives Matter and Lady Antebellum, changing their name, the country band, to Lady A, and I was like, okay. And I knew this movie was coming out, so I was like, okay, Antebellum obviously has something to do with slavery. And this is the education system. I had no idea what antebellum meant. I knew what, obviously, slavery was and the cotton fields and all that. I'm not, that out of it. I know all of that. But I didn't know what the term meant. So, when Lady Antebellum came out as a country band, I didn't really think anything of it anyway. But anyway, so other than the great Janelle Monáe and then Eric Lang I mentioned, we also have Jenna Malone in this movie, Gabourey Sidibe, who we haven't really seen in quite a while, but boy, she looks great, She looked very unhealthy, obviously, and precious, and for a couple of years after, but she really looks great. She looks healthy, which is good, and I've always liked her. I love the movie Precious, and some of the other stuff she's done I've enjoyed as well. But alright, so without giving spoilers, let's talk about why this 29% is probably right on the money for the Rotten Tomatoes. This is a bad movie. It actually, in my opinion, should be lower than 29%. That means 29% of critics liked this movie. I don't get it. Look, I love Us. I love Get Out. And I love, the other movie this guy produced that's been big lately, Black Klansman. I loved all of them. They were all in the A- range for me. But what those movies did, well, Black Klansman, what we'll leave out of the conversation, because that's based on a true story, and it's a different style of movie, so that's fine. Let's leave that out. Let's talk about the Jordan Peele movies that this movie wants to be, Us and Get Out. So both of those movies were very deeply psychological thrillers, and they both had this sense of what the hell is going on. And we do have that sense about 25 minutes maybe into the movie. There's sort of a big shift in tone, let's say, and a big shift in setting. And so I think you are left confused about what exactly is going on. Now, because of stupid Wikipedia, I sort of knew, unfortunately, but even still, I think it would have been a what the heck is going on kind of few minutes or longer, but at the same time, what Us and Get Out did so well was that feeling of being in the moment with these characters and being confused in the moment. This movie does not have that, because you go from one setting to another, and each one gets like 20-25 minutes, so it's not like we're back and forth in the characters' minds, and so that, I think, dulls the thrills of it. Also, I don't think this movie is that scary. Like, Us, of the three, Us was definitely the scariest. Get Out, I think, was the smartest maybe, but this also has a lot of things in common with Get Out in terms of, without getting too spoilery, I guess I'll just say in terms of the twist. It's not the exact same thing as Get Out, of course, but that's all I'll say, I guess, about that. But essentially, look, we have this whole, like, slavery is bad, slave owners are pieces of crap. I don't curse on this channel, but if I'm going to talk about slave owners, I certainly could get fired up enough to. But look, we get it. We've seen that in so many movies, before. We understand that. Then the twist happens, everything goes a little topsy-turvy, but at the same time, you're like, it's still never explained how. It's so hard to talk about this movie without spoilers. It never gets explained how this would even occur. What happens in the movie? It's such a stretch to think that this could be happening without major news coverage or something. Um, so it's so I think they've dropped the ball there as well. Now, granted, look, there's a lot of things that have gone on in this country in the last 300 years without news coverage. I understand that. I got it. So that I can see, but once you know what happens, it leaves a lot of questions unanswered that don't really make sense. So I'll leave it at that. Also, the final, couple of scenes of the movie, this action that happens on the plantation, and a lot of things are going on, and again, I'm not going to give spoilers, but when things are going on, it's like at dusk, and so the lighting is very gray, very dim, very dark. It's not pitch black. You can see things, but you can't see a lot of things. Like, you can see people, and you can see maybe they're holding up something to fire or shoot at the person, or a knife or what. Like, you can see sort of things, but then the action is all lost. It is such an unsatisfying final battle that it just, it's like, okay, so I guess all this stuff just happened, but I didn't really see what any of it was, because you're fighting at dusk, and the lighting crew decided, well, this is perfect, let's see it at dusk. Look, you can film scenes at dusk or in the dark and still have a lighting, still light the scene so that the audience can see what's happening. So that was very disappointing. Something that came out similarly to this, I suppose, is The Hunt. The Hunt wasn't necessarily, about slavery, and it wasn't about slavery at all, but it wasn't about black versus white even, but it was about, Democrats and Republicans, but there was a battle, there was a twist, and I think that movie did everything better. It's hard to say Janelle Monáe was bested by the gal from The Hunt. Was it Betty Gilpin? But Betty Gilpin was, I think her movie made more sense. So I think in that sense, I wasn't sure Janelle Monáe even was given direction for her character for a lot of this movie. I think they were just like, hey, we want the audience to be confused, so why don't you be confused too, and then we'll go from there. And it's like, that doesn't necessarily work. Now, granted, there were some times when her character did need to be confused. There's no doubt about that. But overall, this was a very, very unsatisfying movie, especially from the producer of Get Out and Us. It wants to be such a copycat of those movies and misses the mark entirely. It misses everything just about that Jordan Peele made so interesting and special about those two movies. So they really dropped the ball there. There's this butterfly theme, and we see it on the poster, that I don't think ever necessarily, I think this Sean guy didn't direct it, so let me stop there. The directors of the movie are Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz. This is both of their feature debuts for directing, so that actually makes a lot of sense. But I think they wanted the butterfly to be the same as the scissors in Us, or the camera maybe in Get Out, and it never had that sense of symbolism for me. I think there's so many better, white supremacists suck movies, because they do. I mean, that's pretty obvious, F them, F Nazis, all that stuff. That goes without saying, but you still have to tell an interesting story behind it. And I think this movie wanted to be something so badly that it just missed the mark on about every level. And I've always said that if the ending of a movie is bad, it can ruin the whole movie. Now, if the rest of the movie is amazing, it's not going to do that. But if the rest of the movie is like average and the ending sucks, it basically negates the whole rest of the movie. You're just like, okay, well, because sometimes a movie that's average, a great ending can really, bring like a C movie to a B. Because, oh my god, I didn't see that coming, But a bad ending can ruin an average movie, certainly. And I think that's the case here. This movie really does not get anything right except hiring Janelle Monáe. Even some of the scenes, like in that first 20 minutes, they really, really want you, they're on the plantation, they really, really want you to just hate these bastards that are, the slave owners and the slave traders and all that stuff. And that's fine. Why wouldn't you? But it's just been done better in so many other movies. The only thing maybe I can say as a positive for some about this movie is that I can certainly say it doesn't have a white savior trope that a lot of movies do have, like 12 Years a Slave and The Help and other ones that always sort of come up in the conversation. So I can give it that. But you could also say Us and Get Out don't have that trope either. And neither does Black Klansman, for that matter, this guy's other movie. So, is that necessarily enough to really give it a good grade? It is not. I'm sorry, but it's not. This movie has way, way too many flaws. It's not a good one. It's, for me, one of the worst of the year, to be honest. It's not an F. We've seen a couple of Fs this year already. Fantasy Island comes to mind. And sort of in that same vein, like, I don't know, thrillers are easy to either love or hate, and there's a lot that I kind of put in the middle because I think they're perfectly fine for what they are. But this tries to be so ambitious and so next level and so let's copy Jordan Peele that it just crashes down on itself. I really flirted with what exact grade to give this one, but I'm going to leave Antebellum with a D. This is a bad, bad movie, and it's unfortunate. I love Janelle Monáe. I like Jenna Malone too, by the way. She's always good to see. Her character is just so like one-dimensional, and we don't even really give her much screen time, so we don't even get to know her that much. But she's like third build. It's a misfire, unfortunately. So that will do it for Antebellum. Please subscribe below. I just hit 500 subscribers, so that is very exciting. So please subscribe if you haven't. Check out my other videos. I will have a full movie review slate, hopefully sometime this week. And American Pickle will be in there. The Binge, the parody of The Purge starring Vince Vaughn that's on Hulu, that's going to be part of it. Chemical Hearts, which is on Amazon Prime, I believe, that's going to be part of it. So yeah, look forward to that sometime this week. Other than that, we will have all of our usual stuff. TV news and reviews. Masked Singer is back on Wednesday, so I'll have a new video for that. But that's going to do it. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Be safe.